الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is a course that in which we will be covering the classical book on logic, mantiq, which is Isagoje. This is a classical book on logic that has been written by al-Imam Abhari rahimahullah. This is one of the primers of logic. This is usually one of the first texts in logic that is taught to students. Mostly, there are other texts as well, but this is one of the earliest texts that is written on the subject. Before we begin, I think there are some things that need to be clarified. First of all is that how the lessons will proceed. I will first explain the concepts that are in the matan, the text, because this course is more oriented towards the concepts to cater towards a general public rather than the exact translations of the subject and diving into its Arabic and things that are not beneficial for the general public. Number one. Number two, I'm going to be keeping the istalahat, meaning the technical terms, untranslated because they are technical terms of the science. So if you understand them as they are, then that should be much more beneficial. And thirdly, then after explaining the concepts, I will then translate the text, but keep in mind that our goal is to understand what the author is trying to convey rather than understand the text in its literal translation. So in that regards, this course is not really beginner friendly. I suggest that you have some experience in logic and in propositions and in discrete mathematics and other subjects. If you do not, then it won't be a problem, but if you do have that experience, then this book would be much more beneficial. If you are looking to study this seriously, then I suggest that you go to a scholar and you study with them, because these videos are just meant to convey a general sense of the text and a supplement to whoever is studying classical logic or mantiq with their teachers in another place. So before we begin, a brief introduction of logic and this book. This book is called Isagoje, which is a Greek word, and by that word, that which is meant is al-Kuliyatul Khams. This is something that we will study later, but the word Isagoje actually means here the Kuliyatul Khams. It was written by al-Abhari rahimahullah, and many of the things that are mentioned here have their roots in Greek logic. So mantiq as an ilm is supposed to protect your brain or your the way you reason from errors, so that whenever you reason, you don't have any errors in your reasoning. This is the primary purpose of logic. There's also a secondary purpose, which is to convince your opponents about whatever it is that you believe in, or to strengthen whatever you believe in with rational evidence. That is why when you study advanced books in any other subject, for example fiqh, for example you study al-Hidayah, you will see that the author tries to make arguments that if you do not understand mantiq, then you probably will never understand those arguments. Similarly, in other subjects, in kalam, in some of it in grammar, and many other subjects, the author's reference to mantiq directly or indirectly. So this is one of the things that allows you to reason correctly and coherently and to convince your opponents of your beliefs, and to reject the beliefs of your opponents, or to reject misguided positions and such and so on. So I think we should begin. This is the first portion of the text. I will first explain what the text wants to convey to you, then I will actually translate the text for you. First, I will explain the important concepts that needed to be that one needs to know. So in this section, the author introduces you to ad-dalalat. Ad-dalalat is actually written like this. Excuse my writing because I'm not very good at writing on this tablet. So ad-dalalat actually is the plural form of ad-dalala. And the meaning of dalala is actually wait a minute. Yes, it's actually that كون الشيء بحالة يلزم من العلم به العلم بشيء آخر, meaning that for something to be in such a state that when you receive knowledge of that thing, you automatically receive knowledge of some other thing. So basically, if I repeat myself, then the state of a thing in which if you receive knowledge of that thing, then you automatically receive knowledge of something else. This is dalala. For example, when I say the word pen, whenever I say the word pen, your brain automatically receives knowledge of a writing instrument. So even though I did not explicitly say a writing instrument, I said the word pen, but your brain actually thought about something else entirely, which is a writing instrument. So this is dalala. So in this, a few things you need to remember is that the first part is called a dal or pointer, and the second part is madlul, which is that which is pointed towards. So the pen dal is actually pointing towards a writing instrument, which is the madlul, and this is dalala, that the pen is in the word pen is in such a state that whenever I say the word pen, you automatically receive knowledge of something that is a writing instrument. Similarly, and I think this is an important aspect that I'm about to mention, is when I say the word human, I automatically receive knowledge of something that is alive and intelligent. Now I want you to remember this definition. This in the Arabic language is haywan, natiqun. Haywan means alive, and natiq means it's capable of intellect. So in this case, the word human, which is the dal, is actually pointing towards something that is alive and intelligent, which is the madlul. So this is the introductory discussion on what dalala is. Now, if in the text they introduce you to three types of dalala, and we are going to use this exact example to continue with the discussion. So we were actually talking about dalala, and there are three types of dalalat. The first is called mutabaqa, mutabiqi in fact. This is when the dal points towards all that which it was coined for. Now before we continue with this, I'd like to write this down over here so that you don't forget, is that the word human was coined towards something that is alive and intelligent. You can say this is the definition of a human as far as the course goes. You can obviously dispute this definition, but we are going to agree with this so that we can move forward with the course, with the book. Now, if the dal, which is human in this case, points towards all of that which it was coined for, then this would be called dalala al-mutabiqi, mutabiqiyya. So if you were to define ad-dalala, which is mutabiqi, you would say something like um, anything that points towards all of that which it was coined for. So for example, if someone said the word human and you're speaking to someone and they use the word human, and when they use the word human, they actually meant something that is alive and intelligent, then this is mutabiqi, because the word human was actually coined for something that is alive and intelligent. And when the mutakallim or the speaker said the word human, he actually meant something that is alive and intelligent, which was all of the definition for which it was coined. So this is ad-dalala al-mutabiqiyya. But at the same time, the second type of dalala is tazammuni. Tazammuni. This, unlike mutabiqi, I'll write this in red. Anything that points towards a portion of that which it was coined for. For example, we know that the word human was coined for something that is alive and intelligent. But for example, if you were talking to someone and they said the word human, and by human they meant something that is alive only, or something that is intelligent, only intelligent, and it did not mean both alive and intelligent, then this is tazammuni, because the word human was coined for something that is alive and intelligent, but when you are speaking it, you actually mean only one of those two things, either alive or intelligent. So this is pointing towards a portion of the term that which it was coined for. It is only pointing towards a portion of its meaning. So this is tazammuni. And the last one is actually called iltizam. Iltizam me. And this is very simple. This is anything points towards something which is necessitated in the brain from its meaning. So, for example, we know that the word human was coined for something that is alive and intelligent. But if someone used the word human to point towards something that is known by necessity from anything that is alive and human, then that is dalala iltizamiya. So if by human they meant someone who can write, because we know that if anything is alive and intelligent, then that thing must be able to write. So if someone used the word human in that sense, then that would be iltizami, because he is not using the definition entirely nor a part of the definition, but he is using something that is necessitated by the definition in the brain. That is someone who can write. Anything that is alive and intelligent, then they can also write. This is necessary. This is a necessary conclusion. Um, so these are the three types of dalalat. If we sort of summarize them in Arabic, you can say that the word human, insan, was coined for حيوان ناطق. So if by insan you meant someone who was حيوان ناطق, then this is مطابقة, the first type. But if you meant only حيوان or only ناطق, then this is تضمن. And if you meant something that is not حيوان or ناطق but necessitated by the two, which is al-kitaba, the ability to write, then this is iltizam. So these are the three types of ad-dalalat that the author introduces in the text. How the words point towards their meanings in a way that knowing one of it, some of it can lead you to the knowledge of something else. For example, knowing a human can lead you to the knowledge of someone who can write. Knowing a human can lead you to the knowledge of someone who is alive and intelligent. So there are three ways in which that knowledge is known, which is dalalat. Um, this is what the main theme of the text is. Now, I think we are in a place to understand what the author is saying. So the author says that اللفظ الدال بالوضع, that a word points towards by being coined, either by being coined. I think I should explain that first. We are only talking about words that are coined, meaning that the pen is coined for something that writes. We're not talking about words that are not coined for something. For example, I don't know, DSFH. This doesn't mean anything at all. These are words, but this does not mean anything at all. So we are not talking about these kind of words. We are only talking about the words that are coined for something. So the author is saying that the word points towards something by being coined. Either it points towards all that which it was coined for. It can either point towards all that which it was coined for bil mutabaqa, meaning that if the word points towards all of that which it was coined for, then it is ad-dalala al-mutabaqa, like the pointing of human towards alive and intelligent. So this is the first type that we studied, al-mutabaqa. And let me change the color. And this is the definition of mutabaqa, that it points towards all of that which it was coined for. Then they say وعلى جزئه بالتضمن, or it points towards a portion of it. It points towards a portion of its meaning which it was coined for, and that is called بالتضمن, meaning that is called التضمن. Like if we use the word human for only alive or only intelligent, then we are pointing towards a portion of its meaning, a portion of what it was coined for. And they say إن كان له جزء, if it has a portion. For example, what they mean is if there is a word, let's say a word A, and in its definition it only has one word, then obviously you can never point towards a portion of that. In that case, there will be no tazammuni because there is no portion to point towards. So they have added that condition over here. إن كان له جزء. Then they say وعلى ما يلازمه في الذهن بالالتزام. So they tell you the third type, which is iltizam, and they give you the definition. And they say that, or it points towards all that is necessitated by it, meaning the it's meaning that which it was coined for in the brain. What they mean by this is it points towards that which is necessitated in the brain by its meaning. For example, human means alive and intelligent, and these two things necessitate that that thing must also be able to write. So bil iltizam. So with iltizam, we are able to point towards something that can write because this is necessitated in the brain because of that definition. And they give an example. I will highlight that. And to explain all that, they give you an example. Kal insan, like the word insan. فإنه يدل على الحيوان الناطق بالمطابقة, meaning that if it points towards حيوان ناطق, if it points towards حيوان ناطق, then this is مطابقة, or if it points towards any one of those two, then this is تضمن, and if it points towards the ability to gain knowledge or the ability to write, then this is التزام. See, that insan actually meant حيوان ناطق. The meaning of insan was this. So if this meaning is pointed towards by its entirety, then this is mutabaqa. But if this meaning is pointed towards not in its entirety, but rather a portion of it, then this is tazammun. And lastly, if you point towards something that is necessitated by that definition, like the ability to gain knowledge or the ability to write, then this is iltizam. So this is what the author actually meant by these three lines. I know this may be a bit difficult at first, uh, most probably because my ability to explain things is not that good. But if we go ahead, then things will get easier because everything is difficult at first. If you stick to it, then inshallah ta'ala it will get easier and we will go into better, more fluent and more coherent details in the book. But you have to keep preparing for it, and I strongly advise you to sit with the scholars and to understand this subject with them because they are more fluent in its explanation and they will be able to explain to you in a manner that you understand. I also advise you to consult books in your language on this subject. If you speak in English, then in English. They will help you a lot. That was all. Uh, Inshallah, next time we will continue with the book. See you all then. If you have any comments, then you can leave it in the comments. If you have any questions, you can leave in the comment box below. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.